Hello Magic Makers, welcome to Storytime with Mombierella. This is a young adult fiction and may be inappropriate for some younger audiences. Mother Knows Best, A Tale of the Old Witch by Serena Valentino. Copyright Disney Enterprises Incorporated, 2018. Chapter 18, Sisterhood Lost. Part 2. Gothel woke up in the carriage house. She didn't know how she'd gotten there. The last thing she remembered was being dragged out of Hazel's crypt, but the memory was hazy in her mind. She did remember seeing the words written on her sister's crypt as she was being pulled away. Sisters, together, forever. Jacob had had the words carved into the stone. He had done it out of respect. He hadn't known it would rip at Gothel's heart to see it there, a reminder that she had failed her sisters. She wanted to be with them, even now. But then Jacob would just drag her out again, wouldn't he? She didn't even remember going to see her sister's resting place. She remembered waking up in the morning room, and then waking up here in the carriage house. She didn't even know how long she had slept, how long her sisters had been in their graves, and Jacob couldn't tell her.
"Time means nothing in the dead woods,"
he'd said when she asked him earlier. It could have been days. It could have been hundreds of years. Gothel didn't know. She could see through the carriage house window that there were spires beyond the thicket, a castle. No longer was she surrounded by small villages filled with simpletons. There seemed to be a number of more sophisticated hamlets on the edge of the bustling city, and in the distance a flourishing kingdom, all right outside her thicket. How many years did it take to build a kingdom? Surely Jacob saw this happening around him while I slept, she thought. Maybe the odd sisters knew how long she had slept. I should ask them, she thought. Did the sister witches track the time where they lived? She would have to ask them if they ever made their way to her again. In the meantime, she had their cat, a cat who just stared at her, watching her every move. Even though much had changed outside the thicket, within the boundaries, things were much the same. The years had not diminished her sisters. She had seen them when she went into their crypts, before Jacob pulled her out and brought her to the carriage house to rest. She was thankful death had not taken her sisters entirely. They looked as they always had, sleeping and beautiful. Her sisters, together, forever. Jacob had placed their mausoleum right on the border of the enchanted soil, close enough to preserve them, but not close enough to raise them from the dead. Jacob is clever, she thought. He and the odd sisters had seen to everything. They'd even seen to her grief and provided her a companion in Fauns. She felt robbed of her memories, robbed of her sisters, and robbed of her grief. She didn't even know how long she'd been awake. It was yesterday. You woke yesterday. You insisted on seeing your sisters. We told you you weren't strong enough yet, but you insisted. And you fainted from exhaustion. Jacob put you here. It was closer than the main house. Gothel looked around sharply. Was she hearing things now, too? My witches did not rob you of your grief, young witch. They gave you the peace of mind you need to focus on bringing your sisters back. Isn't that what you want? It was Fauns. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, looking at Gothel with her dazzling eyes. Gothel laughed. She'd thought there was more to that cat than she was letting on. Leave it to Lucinda and her sisters to send her a talking cat. Of course that is what I want. But how do you suppose I do it? Gothel asked. I haven't a clue, but you seem to think it has something to do with a flower. The flower. Yes. But one Rapunzel flower isn't strong enough to bring back the dead. It's clearly strong enough to keep you young all these years while you slept. Oh, how long did I sleep? Maybe there's more Rapunzel. Gothel got up to go to the greenhouse, but she fell right back onto the divan. She felt faint and weak, and couldn't stand without getting dizzy. You have to rest, Gothel. You were under an enchantment for a long time. Apparently it's exhausting to sleep for so many years. Apparently, Gothel sighed. Would you mind finding Jacob for me? I need to speak with him. He's right outside the door. He's never very far away from you, if he can help it. He's been very worried about you, young lady. Please give the poor creature some peace of mind, and let yourself heal." There was a knock on the door. It opened before she could tell the person to come in. It was Jacob.
Gothel.
"Jacob, I'm so sorry. I promise I won't try to get up again until I'm healed. I'm so sorry I worried you."
No, Gothel, listen. I have a carriage and some wagons ready to take you and Fauns out of here. I've already sent a raven to Fauns' mistresses to let them know where they can find you. You need to get out of here at once.
"What do you mean? Why are you sending me away?"
The kingdom is marching on the dead woods as we speak. They will be here within the hour, and I need you well away before they arrive.
"Why? Why are they coming?"
They want the Rapunzel, Gothel. Their queen is ill and needs it. She's expecting a child, and the king is willing to do anything to save his queen and their baby.
"But how do they know? I don't understand. Who could have told them about the flower?"
I don't know, Gothel. I'm so sorry.
"I can't leave without my sisters, without the flowers."
I know. I've put your sisters in wooden crates, filled with all of the Rapunzel flowers. The flowers should keep them preserved during their journey. I made provisions should something like this ever happen. I have arranged a cottage for you and your sisters far from here.
"You ripped out all the Rapunzel." Gothel was horrified.
I had no choice. There is no time, Gothel. You have to leave at once.
"How long will it take to get to this cottage? How far away is it? Will the flowers last?"
They should last the journey.
He said. "What am I supposed to do with dead flowers?"
There are more at the cottage. I sent out my man to plant them for you many years ago while you slept.
Jacob was getting impatient. "How do you know this cottage is really there? How do you know it wasn't this man who told the king about my flowers?"
I trust this man, Gothel. Now I need you to trust me. The cut flowers' power should last long enough to get you to the cottage. And I hope you will have enough flowers growing at the cottage to revive your sisters.
"But what about you? Won't you come with me?"
I have to stay here and defend our lands. We need to make them think we are fighting to keep the one flower we have here.
"I can't leave you alone, Jacob. How will I know what happens to you? How will I know you are okay?"
I will write you once it is over. If you have not heard from me in a fortnight, then you know it didn't go well for us.
"Jacob, no. I won't leave you."
Gothel, you have to go. You don't have your mother's powers. You cannot defend yourself against this army. I cannot allow you to stay here and be slaughtered. It is my duty to protect you. The wagons are laden with trunks filled with your mother's books, your clothing, everything you will need, and as many chests of your gold as the wagons can carry. Now please leave at once. I do not wish to bundle you up like a disobedient child, but I will if I have to.
Gothel saw the desperation on his face. She saw she hadn't a choice. She looked at her friend, for that was what he was, and smiled. She knew she would never see him again, and he was giving up his afterlife to save her and her sisters. "Okay, Jacob, help me to the carriage." She picked up Fauns and slowly walked through the courtyard while holding Jacob's arm with her free hand to steady herself. She knew she would never see the dead woods again, and she knew her mother had been right. She destroyed the dead woods. She was the witch from her mother's vision, not the odd sisters. She was the reason everything would turn to dust. This would never be happening if her mother was still alive. Then she remembered. "Jacob, the blood. Is it in one of the crates?"
Yes, my little witch. I hope one day you decide to take the blood, and you come back to reclaim the dead woods.
"I will, Jacob, I promise. And on the day I return, I will bring you back."
Please don't, my lady. As much as I love you, I think I would at last like some peace, to rest.
"Of course, Jacob. You deserve that," she said, kissing him on the cheek.
Thank you, my little witch. Now go. Don't look back. I couldn't bear to see you looking back at me while you go,"
he said as he helped her and Fauns into the carriage. "I won't, Jacob. But know that I will miss you terribly, and know that I love you."
"I know, little one. I know."
He gave her one small goodbye kiss on the cheek and slammed his skeletal hand on the side of the wagon to let the driver know it was time to depart. It wouldn't be until many years later that she would wonder how the soldiers had been able to break through the protective enchantment of the forest. For now, Gothel's heart raced along with the horses as they sped down the dirt road, taking Gothel to her new home, leaving the world she knew behind. Thank you so much for listening. Please remember, like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, share with a friend, comment down below. And remember, let it go and keep moving forward. Have a magical day. Bye.